Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. DevOps obviously is one of the things which recruiters are looking out for during interviews, and of course they want to be sure, or they are looking to be sure, that you have the right skill sets, the right motivation and the right experience occupying a particular role as a DevOps engineer or as a site reliability engineer. So the focus of today's video, I'll be doing some of the DevOps interview questions or commonly asked questions around DevOps which you should know, or well, these are questions and I'll give you possible answers which you can use to shape your thinking around some DevOps related concepts. If this is your first time coming across our content, hit the subscribe button right away and get yourself subscribed, and hit the notification bell because there are a lot of more videos coming up to help you in your DevOps or your cloud computing journey. And equally, if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming across our channel. Thank you so much for being there. Equally, there's the link to my DevOps community in the chat where you can join the community and have access to some resources which I share to make your journey smooth. Now, what are some of the possible questions which you can get asked? What are some of the possible DevOps questions which you can ask when applying for a DevOps role or a site reliability engineer role? Now, the very first question they can probably ask you is, what motivated you to start a career as a DevOps engineer or as a cloud engineer? Or equally, how did you get yourself started in the DevOps journey? And oftentimes you want to mention your experience or your passion in infrastructure automation, or your experience or your passion for software or IT related fields. And because of your passion for IT related fields, you got yourself wondering how processes or how systems are built in the IT space, and with that motivation you started, or you were engaged, or you were so much interested in learning technologies that can facilitate you getting into the cloud. And after doing so much research, you learned about cloud computing and about DevOps, which got you so interested. And after learning about that, you later on had the opportunity to start taking free courses. And by free courses, you want to mention that you took some self-learning courses on platforms like Udemy, on platforms like Coursera, and even some courses on platforms like AWS themselves, because AWS has a lot of resources on the skill builder, or Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud, whatever the case might be. So that motivation for you to get into IT got you learning from platforms like Udemy and other like. And after doing so much personal study, watching YouTube videos, going through community forums, you got the right skills that give you the opportunity to apply for an internship position. And as a result of your internship position, you later on develop more skills which got you to your first role. So that is a very easy way to narrate your process of being passionate about getting into software development, developing interest in development related issues, and then you using free courses on Udemy, Coursera, or whatever massive online course program you've used to gain these necessary skills, and then transitioning into an internship position and then to your first role. So that transition alone gives the recruiter a clear picture on how you got started. And of course, your previous background, maybe as a health practitioner or as a legal practitioner or as a finance practitioner, might be another motivation. You want to add some of those things to add up to your experience or to your passion in cloud computing. So that is the basic way of how you got started, or what motivates you to be in the journey. And of course, long-term motivation is the rapid changing nature of the DevOps field. New technologies coming up, new ways of doing things, and you're so passionate about learning new things. That is why you so much love DevOps, because you have the opportunity to learn new things, to learn new technologies, to learn new approach to solving problems, and you find it feels so interesting, and that is why you're actually here taking this particular interview. So have that at the back of your mind when answering why you're passionate or how you got into DevOps. Now, the second possible question which you can be asked is, what skill sets do you bring in as a DevOps engineer for this particular role? You're interviewing as a DevOps engineer, or you're interviewing as a site reliability engineer, and they want to find out your skill set. And we've done several videos on the skill set for DevOps engineer or cloud engineer or site reliability engineer in our past videos. You want to watch our past videos on the skill set required for you to occupy a DevOps position. But basically, just a recap, you want to talk about your skill set with continuous integration and continuous deployment, your skill set with microservice, your skill set with automation, infrastructure as code automation. You want to talk about your skill set with monitoring and logging, your skill set with a particular cloud technology, and your skill set with communication and collaboration, right? So you mentioned some of the skill sets which you have in those areas, and that will give you the opportunity to tell the recruiter the skill set which you have to come into that particular role you're interviewing for. Be it infrastructure as code or automation, you need to have AWS, CloudFormation, and equally you want to look into Ansible or Chef or Puppet for configuration management. So do not be overwhelmed when they're asking you your experience with a particular infrastructure as code technology or your experience with a particular configuration management technology. So have that at the back of your mind and give them the right response. Another very important question which you can ask is how you've helped to optimize and streamline the delivery process of applications in your previous roles. Remember how you've helped to streamline and optimize the delivery process of applications in your previous role. And as far as that is concerned, it still brings back the key DevOps principles, right? You want to talk how you've maybe used a particular infrastructure as code technology to automate infrastructure creation. Maybe I've used Terraform to automate the creation of resources on Azure Cloud or on AWS Cloud. You also want to mention your experience with continuous integration and continuous deployment technologies and how you've used that to continuously integrate code from the developer's perspective or from the developer side and deploying it to your production servers for the application side, right? So you're mentioning your flow or your transition from code, setting up version control systems, setting up build projects with Jenkins or with AWS code pipeline or AWS code build to integrate code from developers, and then setting up deployment strategies with maybe Kubernetes or with Elastic Container Service or with maybe using Ansible for configuration management to deploy to a given or to a fleet of EC2 instances. So that in itself, it's you bringing out your ability to streamline or to optimize the deployment of code or the deployment of applications in your environment in your previous role, right? So you mentioned the key technologies that constitute the DevOps principles: continuous integration, continuous deployment, microservices, monitoring and logging, infrastructure as code, collaboration and communication. So have that at the back of your mind when giving experience on how you can optimize or streamline the deployment of code in your previous roles. Now, this question is very important. They can ask you to give an experience with a particular problem or outage which you face in your environment and how you were able to solve that problem and possibly the experience you gained after solving that problem. Remember, the question is what particular or describe an outage or maybe a failure which you face in your environment, how you approach that, and how you were able to solve with the experience you gain in that entire process. And well, let me just give you a simple response that can trigger you bringing out other experience with as far as outages are concerned. Now, you can say, for example, that in my previous or in my past role, we had the problem of inaccessibility to our application. And after performing troubleshooting, I realized that there was a misconfiguration or a problem with our application load balancer, which was preventing access to our resources on the AWS cloud. And as a result of that misconfiguration, there was denial of service or inaccessibility to application running in our production servers. And how I solved that was I was able to quickly visit the load balancer configurations, check the health checks, and perform some rollback reconfigurations on our application load balancer, which gave users the ability to access our platform back, right? And the experience which I gained from this particular outage was we should always perform a well architected solution before hosting an application or before exposing an application to our end users. So that way I've described an outage which was users not having ability to access our application. I've described the task or the particular thing which I had to do, which I identified, which was me realizing that our load balancer had misconfiguration issues, and I equally had to solve that by reconfiguring our load balancers. And the experience which I gained was me being able to set up well architected infrastructure to meet our deployment needs, right? That way I've been able to access or to answer the question that has to do with misconfiguration or that has to do with outage and how you gain experience. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you are not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button right away, hit the notification bell for our next video that will help you in your cloud computing and in your DevOps journey.